Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we pull back the curtain on big business today. We're diving into Edgewell Personal Care's latest filing, and let's just say they're shaking things up. Get ready, because this one involves selling off a whole chunk of the company. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button and join our Discord community, linked in the description below for more in-depth looks at how the corporate world really works. So Edgewell Personal Care, the company behind brands you might know like Chic Razors and Playtex gloves, just announced a pretty significant deal. They are selling their entire feminine care segment to a Swedish company called Essity Aktiebolag for a cool $340 million in cash. This happened back on the 12th of November 2025. And it is a big move. What exactly is the feminine care segment? Think products like pads and tampons. Edgewell says this deal is about focusing on their other core businesses. The buyer, Essity, is a global leader in hygiene and health, so this seems like a natural fit for them to expand their portfolio. It's like Edgewell is saying, we're good at razors and sunscreen, but we're letting someone else handle the feminine care part. Now, selling a whole business unit isn't as simple as shaking hands. There are a bunch of hoops they have to jump through. One of the big ones is getting approval from regulatory bodies, like the ones that check if the deal is good for competition. They're talking about the Hart-Scott-Rodino Antitrust Improvements Act of 1976 here, which is basically a law to make sure big mergers and acquisitions don't hurt consumers. So they need the government to say, yep, this is okay. There is also a deadline for this whole thing to get done. They've got until May 12, 2026 to finalise the sale. This date can actually be pushed back a couple of times if needed, especially if those regulatory approvals are taking longer than expected. Think of it as a target date, but with some wiggle room. And even after the deal closes, there is going to be a period where Edgewell still helps Essity run the feminine care business for a little while. This is called a transition services agreement. It's like when you move out of a house and the previous owner leaves the utilities on for a few days to make things easier for you. They'll be providing certain services to make sure those products keep getting made and sold smoothly while Essity gets fully up to speed. To let everyone know about this massive sale, Edgewell also put out a press release on the same day the agreement was signed. This is a standard move to make sure all investors get the same information at the same time, which is what this regulation FD disclosure is all about. They're not trying to give special information to one person over another. Now, a big part of these reports is what they call forward-looking statements. This is where the company talks about their hopes and expectations for the future. They're basically saying, here is what we think will happen, but remember, things could change. They mention things like the anticipated timeline for closing the deal, the expected benefits to Edgewell and its shareholders, and how they plan to use the money they get from selling the business. This section is filled with warnings about risks and uncertainties, which is pretty standard. They're acknowledging that unexpected things can happen that could make their predictions wrong. This includes things like not getting those all-important regulatory approvals, or if disruptions from the sale end up hurting their ongoing business operations. They also highlight the competitive nature of their industry and the potential for supply chain issues, like fluctuating prices for raw materials or labor costs. It's essentially a list of things that could go wrong and prevent their plans from working out perfectly. And finally, tucked away at the end, they list all the official documents that support this announcement. This includes the actual asset purchase agreement, which is the big detailed contract for the sale, and that press release we just talked about. Think of this section as the exhibits table of contents for the whole report. Looking at this whole picture, Edgewell Personal Care seems to be making a strategic pivot. Selling off a whole segment isn't something a company does lightly. It signals a commitment to slimming down and focusing on what they believe will be their strongest areas going forward, like shaving and personal grooming products. The $340 million in cash is a significant sum and could be used to pay down debt, invest in their remaining brands, or even buy back shares to boost shareholder value. However, they are also acknowledging the inherent risks in such a large transaction. The potential for regulatory hurdles and operational disruptions means this isn't a guaranteed win yet. The key will be how effectively they can reinvest the proceeds and strengthen their core businesses. The market will be watching closely to see if this divestiture truly unlocks growth and value for shareholders in the long run. Alright, that is our breakdown of Edgewell Personal Care's significant announcement. What is your take on this big sale and what it means for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps the channel, and make sure you are subscribed for more deep dives into the corporate world. And don't forget to check out the Discord community linked in the description for more discussions. Thanks for watching, see you next time.